Ram 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 Ram. Hey patrons, welcome to Story Time. Today I wanted to actually share a personal story with you, and it revolves around being given that mantra, Ram, from my guru named Crowley Baba. Now, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, Maharajji never, formally initiated people and made them his disciples and gave them mantras. I'm sure there's a world that went on that I wasn't aware of, but it was never a public seen thing. So anyway, that being said, I arrived in India at 19 years old, and I was an avid yogi. I had been taught this meditation technique from the quote, tantras, unquote, that involved meditating on each of the chakras with a sound, a color, a shape. And then when you were fully immersed in that chakra, going to the next chakra, and there were so many visualizations and so many mantras. And I believed, well, no pain, no gain. That's what I believed. And I was working so hard on this practice. And not only that, the teacher who had given me this practice guaranteed enlightenment. Do this practice 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, and you're going to be enlightened this life. Guaranteed. Money back guaranteed. So I was into it. Anyway, I found myself with Maharajji, and that's a whole another story that I will tell you. But so I spent, I guess it was 3 weeks with Maharajji, and we were singing, we were eating a lot of amazing food, and just so many things. And then he disappeared in the night, one night. So I was pretty lost. I didn't know what to do with myself. So some friends and I went to this little town called Asipur, which is a teeny village. It was probably not even on the map. It was halfway between Varanasi, Benares, and Sarnath, which is the village where Buddha gave his first discourse. So anyway, we were living there, and I was going into Benares every other day for music lessons, and it was really nice. And but who should show up at my door but my best friend from high school, who actually turned me on to banjo and was a real inspiration. And we took so much LSD together. We went to college together briefly, and I had lost track with him. Now, it turned out that he had been in India for 6 months studying this instrument called the sarangi. So out of the blue, he knocks on the door, and he says, "Jai," and a couple of friends that I was living with, "let's take bong." And I didn't know what bong was. I was, not taking any drugs. I wasn't smoking any pot. I was a full-on yogi lifestyle. And he said, "Oh, it's just this edible form of marijuana that all the sadhus use." So we were all game. So he came the next morning at 3 a.m. with these candies. And he said, "Just eat these candies and follow me, and we're going to go to Sarnath." So we walked to Sarnath, and he said, "Follow me." And we got to a stupa. And a stupa is like a sort of a man-made little hill filled with Buddhist relics. And the Buddhist pilgrims walk clockwise around the stupa, doing prayers, doing japa, prostrations. But Nick, he found the stairway. It was like the maintenance stairway. And we went to the very top of the stupa and sat down. and began to meditate, waiting for the sun to rise. So I got right into this practice. I'm meditating, I'm finding this chakra and that sound and this shape and this, oh yeah, each of the chakras had a fruit or a vegetable, I think. Something like that. It was pretty crazy. I was sweating. I was working so hard for enlightenment. I just had to get it. And suddenly, as the sun was rising, I heard this almost atomic bomb explosion. But it was just inside of me. It wasn't outside of me, but it was. And then I heard Maharajji's voice. And he was saying, Ram, 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 in that kind of tonality, but it was really loud. It seemed really loud inside of my head. And with each repetition of Ram, I felt and found that every bit of my quote unquote knowledge and understanding of spirituality, as well as my memorization of this complicated meditation practice, was getting washed out of me like water from a tank. Just Ram, 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 until it was all out of me. And I opened my eyes and I looked at this beautiful sunrise, and I was saying Ram, 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 and I felt this heavenly feeling, and I knew that Maharajji had given me a mantra. I hadn't even known that Maharajji was my guru yet at that point, but it was so clear to me. And then I tried to do this other meditation again, but I couldn't remember it. And from that day on, I couldn't remember anything about all those chakras and all those bija mantras and all those colors and shapes and bananas and fruits and everything. All I could remember was Ram, 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 Ram. And that word, that one word, Ram, 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 has been my anchor, my emotional anchor, my spiritual anchor, even, I dare say, my physical anchor. Since that year, 1971, Ram, Ram, Ram. That's all I know. I mean, I know a couple other prayers, and occasionally I'll read some other scriptures, and I know this and that, dribs and drabs, but all I depend on in my spiritual life is that word, Ram, 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 which connects me to my guru and connects me to spirit. Ram, Ram, Ram. So that's story time for today. Ram, 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 Ram. Ram, 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 Ram. Ram, 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 Ram.